doing something a little different today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we are going to talk about some of the terminology that we use in Australia for
Mm-hmm.
nose work and scent work.
Yes. Because I think there is a little bit of confusion out there.
There is. And we also have we had a whole lot of new classes and new students come through Canine Nosetime this term. And I think this will help them sort of understand sort of where we're at in Australia, what competitions there are, what the terminology, sort of what it all means, and hopefully we can make things a little bit clearer for some people.
Yep.
All right, well, let's start. Nose work and scent work. What are they?
So what's the difference between those things, Alicia?
Well, funny you should ask. There is absolutely no difference between nose work and scent work. They're both generic terms for this super fun activity we do that is teaching our dogs to find odor. So the terms can be used interchangeably. They mean exactly the same thing. They're not associated with any particular organization. I think as a generally people sometimes split them up between organizations, but essentially they're exactly the same thing.
Yep.
So the next term we're going to have a look at is canine nosework, registered trademark.
So this is different, right? If you chuck that canine in front of nosework, that does mean something a bit different.
Absolutely. Canine nosework is a training methodology, which means that it's a particular way that we are teaching the dogs scent work and nose work. This methodology starts dogs loving and understanding the game on primary, so food and toys, before introducing odor. It involves a lot of sort of foundation skills for the dogs, including building up their motivation, their hunting skills, understanding odor puzzles, and it's generally associated with introducing the dogs to this sport with boxes.
Yep. And would you say that there is confusion about this particular terminology?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the term nose work is a generic term,
Mm.
but the term canine nose work is a trademarked methodology of training.
Yep.
And that's what we train at Canine Nosetime.
Yes.
And Canine Nosetime is separate again. That's a business.
And I mean, there are so many ways to teach nose work, scent work. I don't think there's any one like correct way. I don't think there's even arguably the most effective way, right? Because every dog is an individual and a methodology, it's not, yeah, there are recipes and steps, but really it's about adapting that methodology to the team in front of you.
Yeah, yeah. Lots of ways
What?
to train it,
Yep.
and none of them are wrong.
Yep.
And the way that we train using canine nose work methodology is very adaptable to different dogs. And that's one of the reasons I love training using this methodology, is that all dogs can do it.
Yes.
So should we have a little look about how all this came about?
Yeah.
Going for a history lesson.
Fun.
So the canine nosework methodology was developed by 3 ex-detection dog handlers in 2006, Ron Gaunt, Amy Hero, and Jill Marie O'Brien. Jill Marie will be coming to camp this year, yay! And that was developed to bring detection dog training to companion dogs. And they didn't start out with the intention of that. They sort of started out just having fun with their dogs and their friends' dogs, and it just, was a little bit addictive, and as we all know, and it grew from there. They introduced target odors a little bit down the track, and then as soon as the target odors are introduced, that's when it sort of became, you could transfer all of this amazing activity that we do that's sort of mentally stimulating for the dogs and, you know, grows confidence and all the rest of it. And then they transferred that over to a competition. And that's when the NACSW in America was founded, to sort of maintain that high standard of competition and not training. The NACSW is competition, and they also have they've got a trial division and an education division.
Yeah.
So when applying that to Australia, Marion Brand, who she founded Canine Nosetime, the business I run now, and that we work together in. She founded that after she brought Canine Nosework over to Australia in 2012. So she like absolutely fell in love with it as a therapy and as a, you know, just the competition part of it as well. She went over to camps over there. She was one of the first CNWIs, which we'll get into later, and sort of, you know, brought this awesome sport over to Australia. And then she's also founded the ACSW, which is modeled very closely on the NACSW, and that is to maintain the high standard of trials in Australia. ACSW is not a training methodology.
Yeah, and I think it's cool as well because it's really the NACSW has been around for so long. It's actually gone through some evolution since its very early days. I did the CNWI course early this year, and it was interesting to see footage from the very first sort of couple of competitions. I don't think people would even realize that they actually used to have a train final response component to some of their trials, which they got rid of for some very good reasons. And the other thing as well I like about the NACSW is that they are constantly evolving with the needs of the participants. So, you know, they've added levels, they've added element specialty trials, and they're constantly tweaking things to, I think, keep the standards really high. I think it's really interesting what they've done with distractors in particular.
That's a recent change.
Mm.
And that's one of the reasons I said modeled very closely, because we haven't seen that change yet
No,
in
well, ACSW is a
ACSW.
bit behind on the more recent changes, but it is interesting to just keep your eyes on what's happening in the US.
Yeah, and because they've all done it before, it's not, you know, that ACSW doesn't need to reinvent the wheel, because it can be
exactly.
modeled so closely on NACSW, and they've been through all of this, and they know, you know, how to you know, approach some of the problems, and or not problems, but you know, how to progress the sport as well.
Yeah.
You know, level wise and everything, without you know, with keeping that high standard and maintaining the integrity of the association.
Yep.
So yeah, I think it's still exciting times ahead. You know, COVID definitely slowed us down here in particularly New South Wales, with progressing trials and that with ACSW, but you know, I think it's all growing and looking really good, especially the framework that it's the structure that ACSW has set up.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, which is exciting. Okay, history lesson is done. So trial organisations in Australia, it is not only ACSW. Both trialling organisations, which is ACSW, Association of Canine Nosework, Canine Scent Work, and Dogs Australia, which was ANKC, both competitions accept all methodologies of training. So it doesn't matter how you start your dog, it doesn't matter how you train your dog, you can still enter your dog in both competitions. And I think that's a really important point for people to know, that, you know, the majority of our students at Canine Nosetime compete with ACSW and ANKC.
Yep.
There are
As do
lots of
we.
differences.
Yep. There are many differences. But it's all about giving your dogs fun sniffing opportunities. That's the way I see it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Let's have a look. Okay, Canine Nose Time, Proprietary Limited. Canine Nose Time, that's us. Yay. Canine Nose Time is a private training business. We train scent work or nose work using the methodology of Canine Nosework. Canine Nose Time hosts trials under ACSW. Canine Nose Time is not ACSW, we're separate, but we do use their framework to host trials. And all of our instructors have been educated under the NACSW, which means that they are all either in progress or have attained their CNWI, which we'll have a look at in a little while. Which is also why I've sort of incorporated NACSW into this presentation, because they do have such a big impact into how we train and how we run our classes, our education for instructors, and the philosophy behind the training that we do. Canine Nose Time has also ventured into the world of man trailing recently, which is super exciting. Oh, your cat's making a great appearance in our video. Okay, Canine Nose Time, us. We also do this podcast, and we have an online shop, which is a little bit of a work in progress. And we do workshops, scent detection games, and we generally have a pretty good time doing all things sniffy that dogs love to do. Let's have a look. There are instructors. We've got Danielle Leong, yourself, me, Lacey Burford, Margaret Rocky, Alison Wilcott, Danielle Foster, Holly Floyd, and Susie Emery, who is actually jet setting off to start her own training business this coming term. She's located in the Central Coast, so you'll be able to find her. And it's been amazing having her as part of the team, but keep a lookout for her doing also very great things in the near future. Okay, CNWI. Danielle, what is the CNWI?
It's a certified nosework instructor. So it's someone who has gone through the NACSW instructor program.
So they just like hand these out to people?
Yeah. You do at the way the course is structured at the moment, it's there's an online course component, which is 8 full days of of in like Zoom instruction with Jill Marie and with Amy Hero. It is a fantastic experience. It's somewhat challenging with the Australian time zone, which makes it an extra fun experience. But it is a very immersive and detailed course program, as well as your attendance across those 8 days. There's a whole bunch of practical components you need to fulfill, which is why I'm currently an ANWI, because I am yet to submit all of my videos and logbooks and all the things to show that not only have you learnt the theory, you have to be able to apply it, which is very important. And then there is the continuing education. There is a requirement that you have to fulfill, continuing education units, which is really important because nothing stays still. This methodology isn't just something that you learn and you're done. There's constant tweaks and updates and new frameworks, new perspectives, new trialing challenges. It's just you could never stop learning, basically.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things I love about being a CNWI, is that there are always so many training opportunities available, and things have changed so much. I mean, I think a lot of people that came to even Canine Nose Time early classes, they just think, oh, that's how they train, that's how they things change every single time they do the CNWI course. It's updated.
Yeah, it's funny because I've had a few people in my recent intro classes this year who started with Canine Nose Time 8 or so years ago, and they have been pleasantly surprised by the differences in that time of what we do and how what we focus on and how we train things because there are some pretty fundamental differences, even right at the very beginning.
Oh yeah. Like even when we start introducing the handler has changed so much
Yep.
since, you know, when we first started classes, the handler would be all involved and doing, you know, with the boxes and all the rest of it. And now it's something we leave really till down the track till we know that
Yep.
the dog's got the sort of game and independence.
Yep.
Even those basic foundations, you know, and I love that. I love that it's continually progressing, and to find the best way to communicate to the dogs and to the handlers, because
Yep.
a lot of the handlers, you know, we cater for everyday companion dogs. We are not aimed at, you know, professional detection dogs with their professional handlers. There's a really broad variety of dogs and handler teams that come to our classes, and this is one of the best sort of ways that we can teach them, and that's what the course takes you through as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that people do know that, you know, CNWI is something that well, I'm very proud to be a CNWI because of that education, the continued education that we're getting. And I think I really enjoyed the course. Everyone that's done the course has always said that they really enjoy it. No matter how much experience you've got in Nosework, you always learn something more every time you do the course, which is really cool. Is there anything else we sort of haven't touched on yet?
I mean, I think we could obviously go into a lot more detail on all these things. And I think probably people, when I've talked through these types of topics with my intro classes, the questions always arise over the ACSW, ANKC sort of competition differences, because I guess that's interesting to people, and they may have already had some ideas or have heard what the differences are or what is required. But I think that is beyond the scope of what we're going to talk about today.
That'll be in our next podcast.
Yes, because there are lots, there's a lot of difference. The skills I would say are the same, right? You're teaching your dog to find odor. You're teaching your dog to solve more and more complex odor problems. You're teaching them to solve those problems in the face of, you know, more and more challenges, whether it's time pressure, larger search areas, more distractions. So all of those things are the same. But
environment, yeah.
yes, but yeah, but the progression, I think, of the competitions is very different. Even how they're run, in terms of, you know, how you collect your qualifications, etc., is all very different. So but the skills are basically the same, let's be honest.
Yeah, yep. Teaching dogs to find odor in the midst of all sorts of different environments and distractions.
Yes.
Okay, well, that was really good. I hope it was helpful to some teams out there. If you have any questions, make sure you send us an email or ask us a question. You can find us on the Facebook and the Instagram. But the email is hello@caninosetime.com.au. And I think that can probably wrap it up.
Yes.
All right. Happy sniffing.